Welcome to this preview of my acrylic winter chickadees paintings. In the longer versions, you'll find much more detail and much more commentary. In this preview, I'll show you some samples from those 3 longer versions. It'll include how I compose the initial images in Photoshop, how I prepare the canvas, how I do the block in, how I do all the details. Let's take a listen. And again, I'm not trying to get everything, all the details or anything. I just want to make sure I can keep a sense of where the major elements are going to go and make sure that I've got. Payne's gray is a very dark blue gray, and so it's sort of a nice gray, a nice shortcut to a dark that isn't pure black. So by adding a little bit of blue and adding a little bit of raw umber, I can get a nice dark color. So again, this is just the block-in phase, so all I'm trying to do is get rid of some of that white or the lighter part of the canvas and establish where my darks are. So that was a quick sample from part 1, which is the materials, prep, and block-in, which you can see on the screen here as part of that block-in. And then at the end of part 1, as we move into part 2, I get into the details of painting the birds. In part 2 of the full-length videos, of which there are 3 parts, I detail how I paint the birds. This includes my approach to putting down the paint, the colors that I use, the layering, how I get the effects that I want, the brushes that I use. All of this is done some of it is done in real time, as you see here. This is a sample from part 2. Some of it, once I explain the concepts, I'll speed it up a little bit so that it doesn't take too long to get through the segment. But throughout the entire 3 series clips, I provide my commentary, the choices that I made, and what I'm trying to achieve. In this sample here, this is just about the middle layer of paint in achieving the feathered effect that I'm trying to get on the breasts and on the cheeks and on the heads of these birds. I show you the approach I use to getting the directional strokes. I go through the details from painting the feathers to painting the eyes and painting the beaks. I talk about using values, 3 values of color. I tell you what colors I'm mixing, and I demonstrate how I put this all together. Here from part 2 is a clip from doing the detail feathers on the bird that's facing back to us. Now let me show you a brief segment from part 3, which is glazing and details. In this part, I'm going to be painting the branches, doing some glazing, and doing final details. So like in the other first 2 parts of the video, a lot of this is at either 2 times speed or 4 times speed just to keep it moving, but not so fast that you can't follow what I'm doing. And there may be some sections, I think there's some sections in here where I actually show you what I'm doing in real time, so we'll slow it down where necessary. So for the branches, I'm just going in now and reestablishing my branches with a darker color. This is some Payne's gray and some raw umber and a little bit of white to lighten it. There is a touch of cadmium red in here just to warm it up a little bit. And then after getting the darks established, I'm going in on the upper side of some of these branches and getting a little bit of light. Most of all of this, certainly the top half of all these branches, is going to be covered by. So there's a sample from part 3, and in this part I go through painting the branches, getting texture on those branches, using 3 values of color for the branches, for the texture in the branches, and in what's playing behind me now is again using 3 values of color for putting in the snow and adding those details. Because I painted these two panels simultaneously, you'll see that I bounce from one to the other. So you get plenty of opportunity to see how I paint each section, since I'm doing it on two different paintings, basically using the same colors, the same techniques. You'll see how I shade and glaze. So here's a section from part 3 on glazing. Let's have a listen. Now I'm taking that really soft flat brush that I hadn't used yet, but I showed in the beginning of the first video. Taking that, and while that is still wet, I'm just blending that out so it's nice and soft. So again, I can put in that glazing medium and then take that soft brush and just push it around a little bit. And what I've done is create a little bit more shadow. So I go through both panels and all 6 birds, and I just go in and create a little bit more shadow so that the birds have a little bit more dark underneath, a little bit more dark between them. Helps to round them out a little bit. Put it on, use a soft brush to just blend it out. If you have to go back afterwards and put a few light feathers on top, you can do that. You just let it dry and then just go back in like we did before. Use the same technique and add some feathers on top. So that's it. 2 paintings done simultaneously, presented in 3 parts, so that you can follow along, you can paint along, or you can just watch and enjoy and hopefully learn something. I appreciate you watching, and check out the full-length videos for this series, along with my other videos on my channel. Subscribe to get notification of future videos. Thank you for watching.